Ready to build, deploy and test, but while doing a quick code review, I found a small bug in my code in create order lambda. See this should be item name. This can be anything as long as we are consistent. Here I am using item ID, and when I was reading the data back, I'm using item name. It should be item name because in the order we have ID, item name and quantity. That's the only problem. Now go to the command line, do a sam build, and sam deploy. While that happens, let me quickly walk you through what happens when we execute it. It's going to create, the first resource is the table. When it creates the DynamoDB table and the database for us, it will store that name of the table that is generated on the fly using this in the middle. It will have the stack name as the prefix, and at the end it will have a randomly generated value. That name will be available into this environment variable thanks to this operator we are using up top. Then we have granted the permissions for the lambda functions. Once it creates the table, it will create these two lambda functions, and in the process it will find the APIs. You know that story. It creates the API gateway, it exposes the endpoints, it also binds this API gateway as a trigger to this lambda function. And the lambda functions have the required policies. So those policies also will be created and binded to the lambda functions so that they will be able to interact with the DynamoDB tables. So all that magic will happen with this tiny little template, which will be translated by CloudFormation for us. Once it finishes, there we go. So it's creating the DynamoDB tables, the roles and all that, depending on where you are. I keep cleaning up my stack on CloudFormation once in a while. So it might be recreating everything for you. If you haven't deleted your prior stack, then it will be updating. It will be adding a new change set. It will be doing changes there. While that happens, I'll pause the recording. Once it comes back, we'll test it. The deployment is complete. Now we should be able to access the API gateway, hit it, which will trigger the lambda. So if you go to the API gateway service, we'll grab the URLs. Go to APIs, we have the orders API. Go to stages, grab the URL from prod. Copy that guy, go to your postman. Let's create an order this time in the database. So you can paste that URL. Let me do a Control-A, delete it, paste it, /orders at the end. Don't forget that. So send in the very same JSON ID, item name and quantity, hit send. So it goes, hits the API gateway. The API gateway will trigger the lambda. The lambda will take this, deserialize this into Java object, then it saves it into the DynamoDB database if everything goes through, and we should get an order ID back. There we go. So the create happened successfully. Now let's test the get operation. Paste the URL right there, /orders at the end, send that. Let's see if an array of orders come back. Although it has only single element, we are returning back a JSON array, if you remember the lambda function. So we should get an array of, there we go. So we get a JSON array back, which has the single order inside it. Now go back, change the ID, which is the primary key, from 123 to 12. Let me just edit only the ID portion. I'm going to leave everything else as it is. 124 is the ID. Invoke that again. So that created the second time you see, it's very fast. Now go to the get function, invoke that. It has everything that is required for that lambda setup. So it's very fast. Only for the very first time a lambda is invoked, it's a little slow. From that point in time, it's super fast and you get all the items back. So you have successfully created two lambda functions that are performing the CRUD operations, at least the create and read operations for us. Through the API gateway, the request goes to lambda because the API gateway triggers the lambda. The lambda is saving it to the DynamoDB database.